Hey, maybe we should get your dog on camera. We might get some more viewers on the YouTube side of things.
She's a lot better looking than I am.
A lot better looking than both of us put together. People
We
love
could just
dogs,
turn this
man.
in. We could just turn this into the dogging life show. I mean, you're a dogger.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life Podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, Tomanji, and as usual, I am joined by my co-host, friend, and former co-worker, the one chain wonder himself, the man with very strong opinions, Mr. PlainGuy.
What is going on, G? What is going on?
Oh, it's been one heck of a week, I tell you what.
We've been saying that week after week. It gets old, right? Every episode we've had the last 3 weeks have been, how you feeling? It's been a hell of a week. It's been a hell of a week. I think that's just towing at this point. We're just finally catching on after this long.
Yeah, I think we're finally figuring out that January is that month where everyone's just a little tired and a little bitter at times, and just we'll get into more of that at the end of the episode, I think. But yeah, it's January is that time of the year for towing and a lot of outdoor jobs in general, I think.
Yeah, we're right in the thick of it, right? When it comes to towing, depending on where you are, us up in the north, we are right in the thick of it right now. January, February is where you make your money. You really show who you are. You find out the guys that can put in the hours, the guys that maybe can't so much. You got to work with them, but it's definitely a tough time of year. So
Your
I
rookies
hope
don't
everyone
make it
holds
past
on.
training.
Well, yeah. Great time to train guys. You'll find out if this is where you really test them, right? Some of your first year guys, maybe 6 months in, had a nice cozy summer. First winter hits, couple storms hit. And you really find out what they've got. And they're either going to thrive or they might be looking for a new line of work. So
Yeah.
before we get too deep into it, though, G, as usual, I do want to mention if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, we've received some messages through the Facebook page. You can find us at the Towing Life Podcast on Facebook. You can email us directly at thetowinglife@gmail.com. You can visit the website www.towinglife.ca, or you can call us. And G, I'm going to rely on you if you remember the number right now because I'm not sitting in front of my notes.
You can call us at 249-666-2209.
That is perfect. You can also call us, leave us a voicemail. You'll get a nice friendly voice. Hit 1 to leave a message. It's a little weird, guys. If you haven't checked it out yet, it will ring and ring and ring once you hit that 1. I assure you there is a beep coming. When the beep comes, just record. Don't forget to tell us where you're from and that you're listening to the Towing Life Podcast. We will try and work it into the intro. The more calls that we get, you guys hear those wonderful voices. The reason I don't have that phone number handy, the YouTube viewers will be able to tell. The audio listeners, depending on how keen your ear is, as you mentioned, G, may or may not be able to tell. I am filming from the new house, the one that I had to miss a show to paint. I have none of my stuff set up yet. I am doing this on a TV table with a tripod over Zoom on my cell phone because that's how I'm rolling until we get the internet guys are coming tomorrow. I still got to finish up actually preparing the studio. It might be another week or two like this. I'm really hoping it's not for your guys' sake, but we're here. We're doing a show. It is Sunday. We're here for a good time. And I know we got a couple things we want to get into right away, G. We won't waste any time. I know you were around for it on Saturday. A lot of people are talking about it right now. We might as well.
Yeah.
The 2022, I guess it would be now. Still writing 21 on everything I do. The 2022 Freedom Convoy that rolled into Ottawa Friday, yesterday. Again, we're recording on Sunday, so just the last couple days. It's still kind of new. It's still kind of fresh. What a chaos scene in Ottawa that has become.
Yeah, you've been moving during most of this, so you probably aren't as up to date as I. We've had trucks rolling in since Wednesday. I think some of the first semis got to downtown Ottawa. I did the convoy the 29th. We met up in Port Hope was our first stop on the convoy there. That was a royal cluster. So by the time we got to Belleville, I got not quite voluntold, but I ended up leading the convoy. I organized that truck stop, got all the semis up front, and walked around and talked to thousands of people. I had a microphone, like a bullhorn at one point, yelling at people, saying four-wheelers at the back, semis at the front. We went from there and we stopped at Angelico's truck stop, and they were nothing but awesome to us. It was beautiful. They brought out hot sandwiches, French fries, clementines. Like, it was just a beautiful time. We had a bunch of people on the highway waving flags, cheering us on. We had people cheering us on at 5:30 in the morning when we rolled out of our original destination. It was minus 40 with the wind chill at that time, which just screams Canadian pride. It made me, I had such a good feeling. And throughout that whole convoy, we've had people working in the background, which are still continually to work in the background. I want to personally give a shout out to RD Trucking. She's been one of the admins on the Zello app. She has walked over 2,000 vehicles into Ottawa, mile by mile, with exit numbers, fuel stops, emergency stops for broken down vehicles. It has been absolutely amazing, absolutely phenomenal. There's lots of people out there. There's lots of support. There is some not so nice people out there, but you get that with anything, especially something this size. I've been on the radio with people from Australia, New Zealand, Russia, people checking in, wishing their best wishes, support. It's been absolutely phenomenal these last couple of days.
And before we get, and I don't want anyone, we always, as you guys know, we always try to avoid the politics of everything, and this is no different. I don't care how you feel about the convoy, whether you're pro, against, it doesn't matter. What is important is the sign and the unity of the Canadian people, and coming together, whether it's for a cause you agree with or disagree with. I think everybody's going to have their opinions. Everyone's allowed it. It is what it is. But when you get that many people that come together for any cause, a cause that they believe in, especially in a time where we are so divided and so torn about everything, it is absolutely heartwarming to see. It's amazing that, the truckers stood up. They took their stand. Again, whether you agree with them or disagree with them, irrelevant. They took their stand. They brought a lot of the country together. I know there's a lot of people hating on it. I know there's, I've known companies that were part of it and help organize events, at a similar truck stop. And they were getting messages of, do you support the convoy, from customers? And I'm guessing it's because they're looking for a fight. And the fact of the matter is, people were going to show up. They needed a place to organize. These companies stepped up, provided these people with the support that they needed, and got this convoy going. And the scenes that you are seeing out of Ottawa, if you are an American listener, which I know we have plenty of them, if you haven't seen what's going on in the capital, you've been living under a rock, because it is everywhere right now. It is, I'm sure it's trending on Twitter. It's trending everywhere. Freedom Convoy 2022. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, is quite the sight to see. And I'm very proud of a lot of people that put that together and the hard work that you guys went in. I'm glad that you did it. It is what it is. Let's see what happens.
There's a massive amount of volunteers. There's a massive amount of volunteers at the truck stop that we stopped at, the final stop for the Southern Convoy. There's tons of volunteers. We've got 3 home bases set up in Ottawa for semi trucks, bobtails, trucks and trailers. There's a 80-acre farm field that the farmer and the farmhands blew, like snow blew, and plowed to accommodate all these trucks. There's semi trucks full of food and water. We're getting tanker trucks full of fuel coming in, I think, tomorrow, which would be the Monday, to start distributing that as well. It's a logistic nightmare, as you
I
can
bet.
probably imagine, because we've got convoys coming in from all over. We had a convoy come in, went down a no truck route, got blocked off, and now they're facing the opposite way of what the main convoy did. So even if they were allowed to pass through this blockade, they could only go maybe 500 feet before they bump noses with the other convoy that's parked in front of Parliament there. It's an absolute sight to behold, and just having the community support through this app. Even I had to turn around after I led that convoy down. I hung around for a couple hours. I had to hightail it back home. It was still like an 19 hour day round trip for me. And the Overwatch lady, RD Trucking, stayed online to make sure my wheels touched my driveway, which was just absolutely amazing. There's so many good-hearted people out there just supporting this cause. It's really moving. It really is.
I'd just like to point out that you said snow blue.
Snow blue? Snow blowed?
Snow blue. That they snow blued.
Snow blued.
Snow blued.
It's been a long day.
You know I'm gonna catch you anytime you make that big of mistakes. I am a man with very strong opinions, as you've pointed out before, and snow blued is definitely a new one. We will throw that into Toman G's vocabulary. That is Toman G's word of the day, snow blued.
Yeah, we need to get that added to the dictionary right away.
So if you are a towing company that was involved, or an operator that was involved in the Freedom Convoy 22, feel free to send us a message. Let us know what you thought. If you got any videos, pictures of your trucks, send them on in as well. We'll do our best to maybe include them in the light duty warriors, the heavy duty warriors, get some of those pictures coming up this week. Maybe even next week, by the time the time frame works out, we get them in. You guys hear the episode. The posts go out on Wednesday. I'm going to need a little more time than that. As you said, if you guys could see the room that is around me right now, I've got a dog passed out on a couch about 4 feet to my left. I got a nightstand up on the couch right now with lampshades on it. Don't ask why. We're literally in the middle of unpacking. It is chaos, G. It is chaos in the PlainGuy household.
See, yours just plain chaos. At least my story is planned chaos and organized chaos.
Well, I think just towing it as a whole, we realize that it is both of those. So I'm just using my work skills into my personal life. It was planned chaos. I ran my own convoy. We ran 2 26-foot U-Hauls down the highway. And anyone that knows, actually, that's a good point that I want to get onto. I forgot to mention it to you before the show. How many guys and girls listening have pulled out or towed U-Hauls? Right? We know U-Haul customers are some of the sometimes most special customers. You get your normal Tom, Dick, and Harry who've never driven anything bigger than a Civic behind the wheel of a 26-foot, U-Haul cube truck, and no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so the two of us were driving. We had 2 trucks this weekend. We had the pack as usual. You moved me one time. You know the stuff that my wife likes to collect.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the last time I moved you rented one 20-footer. And you're like, this is going to be enough room. And I showed up with my 20-foot trailer in the bed of my truck, and both your truck and my trailer were packed to the nines.
Yeah. In my defense that time, I actually rented a 26-footer. They gave me a 20-footer. And then I had to hope for the best that I would fit it all. I definitely did not. You came through. The fun fact about that story is, as I moved yesterday and Friday, I packed up Friday, left yesterday. I got on my Facebook memories today that it was 2 years to the day that I actually moved that time that you helped me.
Wow.
So it was 2 years that I spent in that town. Not as long as I thought it was going to. I really thought it was going to be there a lot longer. Obviously, things come up. But it's just ironic that the timing was almost 2 years to the date. I never even realized it.
Wow.
So we did our own convoy. But what I'm getting to is, you get every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's never driven anything but a Civic. They get these U-Hauls. I go into the U-Haul, and I rent the place, right? I've driven trucks enough. My other driver, my cousin, he's a AZ licensed driver. So like, no worries between the two of us driving these trucks down the road. I sign up. She asks, do you want the extra insurance? She goes, it's $15 a day. I think it was $30 for the 2 days. And I said, you know what? No problem. Why not? Let's just eliminate any problems. I'll take it. So after she fills it all out, we never even went and looked at the truck. She goes, okay, you're good to go. The truck is here. It's out there. Go grab it. And I said, okay, I'm just going to go do a circle check on it, make sure there's no previous damage. And she goes, why? You bought the insurance. You could take the top off. It doesn't matter. And I go, imagine that this is what the U-Haul employees are telling the drivers. And then you're getting, Ethel, who's driven her Civic, gets behind the wheel of this thing, goes, I got insurance for whatever happens. I'm just going to drive it through this alleyway. How many times do you find those U-Hauls in a spot that you go, what were you thinking?
That viral video of that U-Haul truck going into underground parking and ripping off that shit pipe. Have you seen that?
It was covered on insurance.
Covered under insurance, as long as you paid that extra $15.
Yeah. Yeah. If they bought the $15 a day, they weren't paying a goddamn thing.
Oh,
but how many
that's
times
great.
you see that? Apartment buildings, they're parked 100 feet across the lawn because fuck it, I got the insurance. Why not?
U-Haul normally has their own type of like roadside assistance as well. Like they have contracts sometimes.
Yeah, well, you can sign up with contracts. We had done it with one of the companies we worked for together. I've seen other ones do it. They're a little strict on a couple things. I know there was some stuff they didn't want. I don't think they wanted any of their trucks towed backwards.
Oh.
I think they wanted them towed from the front with the shafts dropped. There was some sort of, something in the contract or preference of tow. They never wanted them forked backwards. Probably because I don't know what the maintenance schedule are like on these things.
Yeah.
Right? Like they get picked up at one location, dropped off at others. Some of these locations are just, a gas station. There's no garage or anything there. There's no, the one I picked it up from was a convenience store.
Yeah.
So,
and to be honest, a lot
know.
of those are saying that they've got a super low deck on some of the smaller cube vans, which if they've got a low deck at the rear, then they probably don't have a full frame going right to the rear either. Right?
They might not, or they've got the welded frame extensions because they run all Fords for the most part in their fleet, at least the newer stuff. The bigger stuff, I don't know about, I know they have the Chevy pickups and that, but a lot of times those Fords will have that welded extension. So, you really don't want to be hooking onto that. It definitely can't reach the axles.
No.
But they want the front towed. They want the axles pulled or axles or shaft. I don't know what their preference is. It's been a long time. But yeah, it's like, for $15 a day, you can pretty much do what the hell you want to this thing and you are covered.
Speaking of axles, do you pull one or both?
It's a lifelong debate. A lot of people will say if you're getting into a single axle truck, the proper way is to pull both.
Yeah. The
reason is, and I will be corrected on this, just like everything else, if you pull one axle, it will spin free. It will spin free. But there is, if I'm not mistaken, there's a brass bushing in there. I think it's called on the spider gear is what it is. That will actually spin wide open. That should not. It normally doesn't under with the both axle system. And
pretty sure it spins at double the speed with one shaft removed.
Something along those lines. Where if you pull both, it's not spinning at all. Ideally, if you're, you pull 2 bolts off the drive shaft or all 4. You pull all 4. If you're going to do the job, do it right. Pull both axles. A trick for guys, especially some of these light, we'll call them light medium duty guys. A good trick I've found is if you go to the scrap yards a lot of time, you can find an old rear end or old axles. You see all these guys with all these fancy covers. You can get covers made for all these. Anyone knows a laser guy, you bring them the specs, you bring them they'll make you some wonderful reusable covers. If not, go to the scrap yard. How many of these school buses you guys towing and all that? They're all the Chevy rear ends. Cut an axle and make a blank cover off of it with just a 3-inch of shaft on it that you can put on, bolt on. You don't need the gasket. You're just trying to stop the oil leak a bit. Again, if you're going cross country, go invest, take the drive shaft out.
Yeah.
But moving some of this stuff around, I know personally, the old argument, and as you get into heavies, it's a lot different. There's a lot more to play it, but the old axle versus drive shaft. I've always rather pull an axle. I've had, especially on those GMs with the 10 mil bolt, that's a bastard to get in there. I've always been a big fan of pulling the axle. You pull the axle. The nice thing is when you get it to the shop and you drop it, and the technician, especially if it's something like a small coolant leak where they don't want to drive it. You get to the shop, they don't have a bay, it's got to go outside. Guess what? That tech throws that axle back in, he can drive it in. Right? If you pulled the drive shaft, yeah, he can go bolt the drive shaft back up. But I mean, it's a lot easier to put an axle back in.
Well, depending on where you drop it, if you drop it next to another truck, do you really have enough room to slide an axle in? That's another
fair.
problem. If you're picking up on the side of the highway and you got a Jersey barrier right next to you, you can only pull one axle, and you'd probably be pulling it out into a live lane as well.
Yeah, I never really put much thought into that. Most of the times when I pulled them, I've been on the side. I've never been on the side of a highway, a major highway with a concrete barrier. I've always been on the side of, county road or something where I got all the time in the world. Joe might come by on his tractor once every hour. So you've got the time, you've got the room to do it. So yeah, you know what? You're probably right in that case. And sometimes they fight you. Sometimes they fight you just as much as the drive shaft. So it's not always easier. I'm just a big fan of kneeling down on the side, taking the impact, zing, 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 popping it, sliding it out. I'd normally put it in a garbage bag. And then, fun fact, if you're not forking, depending on what it was, those smaller buses, we had the heavier wheel grids, you could just wheel lift it. I would throw the axles in a bag to protect, you especially want to protect the splines on that shaft. But I would take it in a bag and slide it in where the spoon came out. And that way you're not tracking oil through anything. Yep. You put them in where the spoons came out. When you get back, you pull them back out, throw them back onto the bus, or depending on what the policy is for that garage, sometimes you leave them in the garbage bags on the floor. But, good to carry a garbage bag because those things are dirty and you want to protect those splines, right? Your last thing you want to do is throw that thing around, damage some splines, and be paying for a new axle.
I'd much rather pay for a bent axle or drive shaft cap than I would one of those inner axles.
Yeah, imagine I don't know what they go for. Again, Scrapyard would tell you on the one you cut off, but I don't know. I don't know what they go for. I don't want to find out. I don't want to have to tell you.
Yeah, if we don't know, that's because we probably haven't broke it yet, and we don't want to find out.
Yeah, I haven't paid for one yet. Couldn't tell you.
I know that an oil pan on a Chevy Sonic costs about $350 plus about an hour's worth of labor and an oil change.
Speaking of what do things cost to fix? Again, we're going completely off topic. You know what's funny, guys, is we sit before these shows. We have about a 5-minute conversation. We plan them out, right? We do. And then we talk about, okay, these are some things we want to talk about. And then we never get to them because we end up going one thing to another.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention to you, with the cold, and I've seen some videos out there. You ever see those videos, guys winching a car onto a flatbed, gets it all the way up the flatbed, and the winch free spools and runs away?
No.
No.
Oh, I've never seen one of those videos.
You should try living them. I have not. But with the cold weather, I think it is important to mention to guys, especially with the mechanical winches. I'm talking those lever in, out that you find on most of the wreckers, all the Vulcan wreckers, depending on the bed. You pull the lever. How does that work? You pull the lever to free spool it and push it to put it back in, I think, or vice versa, depending on the setup.
You push it in and you turn it so the knob is facing down so the vibrations can't vibrate it down, and then you twist and pull out to lock it in. I think the problem most people are running into is when they then go to run their control after they've pulled the lever back out to engage their winch. As they start winching, they don't winch out. Once your winch clicks in, you always should back it off a little bit and then continue to wind your winch in.
What that'll do is make sure that these splines are lined up fully.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't is that vehicle, you can winch it and you can winch it. I know you've had problems with one of the old wreckers you had. I remember you doing a winch where you pull it, get tight, and it would pop free spool.
Yeah, it would get to the point where it was a heavy recovery too. It was almost picking the wheels up. I had hardly any weight left on the front end of that truck, and the wheels were still on the ground, and all of a sudden it would go bang, and we had a road closure, and I think we had 3 trucks on that accident at that time, and you and one of our other coworkers were doing just a bang up job, and I'm down here just fighting this thing. And I was like, what's going on? I was still green at the time too, and it's like, there's something
That's
wrong with
probably where
this
you
winch.
learned about the in out in.
Yeah, I was like, there's something wrong with this winch. Later did I find out there's just an operator error.
And you can wear out your winch by pulling on it that way, even if it doesn't freeze pull the way it is, just the way that it wears. So imagine that same scenario happened on a flatbed.
Yeah.
What happens, right? And that's what happens. A lot of time the vehicle will make it all the way up the ramp before it'll release. And when it does, it's freeze pull. It's bye. It's see ya. It's, you're not stopping. You're not stopping it. So a good trick for all you guys running those mechanical. I know the air switch ones are a little different, so I'm just going to touch on the mechanical ones. But probably not a bad habit with the air, the air switch as well. But whenever you engage that winch from freeze pull, engage it, get a little pull, back it off a bit, then give it a pull. It'll allow everything to mesh up properly, because the last thing you want is a car running away from you. And, it can happen with a wrecker doing a recovery out of the ditch, right? You finally get that thing up onto some ground, and all of a sudden your winch lets go, and that thing's going back down into a ditch, and God knows what. Not only does it look stupid, it's probably going to cost you some money.
Oh yeah.
And give you a bad reputation, right? Everyone in town will hear about when a car runs away on a truck.
Imagine if you were, let's say, trying to sling a bike off the back of your wrecker, and that happens.
Yeah. I don't know if the bike would actually be heavy enough to. I guess it depends on how half engaged you are, but I don't think a bike would be heavy enough.
If it's a worn out winch to begin with, and your teeth aren't super.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you've done that a time or two already, and your teeth are a little worn, like your gears are a little worn inside the winch, that would be bad news bears.
Yeah, that would be a bad time. That'd be one pissed off bike owner, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but again, we don't have to talk about that now. It's February. What are we?
I saw a bagger, a Harley Davidson bagger, on the ass end of a flatbed last week.
He's getting that thing moved from storage. There's no way he was broken down and got a tow.
Yeah, I don't know. I did see a picture.
It's minus freezing 100. There's no way nobody's out riding a bike in this.
I did see a picture of a guy riding a motorcycle down a highway in a blizzard. It is Canada. Stuff like that does happen. Few and far between.
I seen a good joke today where a guy said, the way that we're going, I'm going to have to start hunting for my food. And he goes, hell, I don't even know where to hunt for tin.
I'm surprised they probably sell them motorcycle studded tires. There's got to be a set of.
Oh yeah, because there's guys that do ice racing and stuff like that, but I don't think they sell. I don't think you're finding that regularly at your Harley Davidson dealership. Like if somebody, I don't know, I'll search the web after this show and go look for a Harley Davidson dealership that's selling studded tires. It's got to be the only one in like Nunavut.
Would they even have a Harley Davidson dealer in Nunavut?
I don't know. It's a good question. You're sitting at the computer. Figure it out. I have one screen in front of me that is. I can't start playing around with this at the same time. I'm not that special. Gee, come on now. I'm gonna say that yes. I'm gonna say that they have one in Nunavut. There's a Harley Davidson dealer. If not, where do you send your Harley Davidson? You're not gonna send it to the Northwest Territories.
Of course, it brought up my area.
Of course it did. Sorry, it'll also start telling you everything about Nunavut and Harley Davidsons after listening to our conversations, but that is a topic for another time.
Yeah. I'm just going to say there probably is one, and leave it at that.
Okay, fine. If anyone knows it, let us know where it is. They get a free shout out. We won't even charge them for sponsorship. So visit your local Nunavut Harley Davidson dealer today for studded ice tires.
And let them know that these two guys at the Towing Life podcast sent you. It is. It's going to be.
You get 10% off if you mention our name. Go tell them that. See what happens.
2022 sponsorship goes to. um, There has been a topic that we've been trying to touch on for like the last 3 episodes. G licenses.
Ooh.
G licenses. Apparently, I think you know more about this than I do, but the
Yep.
G license tests are changing or have
And
changed.
not for the better.
No. I know when I went for my G2, the instructor said to turn right, and I was in the right-hand lane, and I thought he said turn left. So
Ooh.
I made 2 lane changes into the left-hand turn lane and proceeded to stop at a green light because as soon as I got over there, I was like, oh, he told me to turn right. So then I had to let my brain catch up to where I was, and I proceeded to make my left-hand turn. And as I'm going around the turn, I was like, you said to turn right, right? And he was like, yeah, but we'll figure it out. And I was like, oh, thank you. And do you think I learned from my mistake?
No, he still doesn't know, ladies and gentlemen, the difference between his left and his right. It's
No,
not a lie. I've
because
seen it
when I went
firsthand.
to go do my G test, guess what mistake I made again? I turned left instead of right. I don't do super well on tests while under pressure, apparently.
Somehow you became a tow operator. I don't know how that works, but we'll take it. So what we're referring to is in Ontario, there has been, because of the COVID-19 and everything going on in the world, there is a massive backlog in tests for new drivers, for G license drivers. G license drivers, for those, because I know there's different classes all over the world. G license is your standard car license, your full car license. We have stages. We have G1, which is like a learner's permit. G2, which is you can drive by yourself, but you know, there's some restrictions. And then a full G license is what, 90% of the adult population have. So what they did is there's a huge backlog. They're having a problem processing all these tests. The appointments have been pushed back. It's the only place where you're allowed to be within 6 feet of somebody, in Ontario, and they'll allow it even with masks on. But so what they're doing is they're trying to speed up the test. And what they're doing to speed up the test is, by my opinion, cutting corners. So they've eliminated the parallel parking, the 3-point turn, and I want to say there was something else from the G test. Their argument is that you already do these on the G2. Why do them again on the G? And it's like, okay, we are already in a world of smart cars and stupid drivers. More and more. And now you are loosening, and I think they said it's temporary, but they're loosening the restrictions to get a license. We have already seen the people out there that have licenses. We have seen them on the side of the roads because we've been towing them. We've seen them in news articles because somebody was towing them, or, operators have been a casualty to them on the side of highways because having a license isn't taken seriously. So now we're going to make it even easier for them. Instead of strickening down with accidents and, everything getting worse and worse, instead of cracking down on it and maybe implementing more safety sets, maybe, I don't know, bringing in a question about approaching a vehicle, whether it's an emergency vehicle or not, on the side of the highway. I'd be curious. I don't think there's a written test that has what do you have to do if you see a tow truck on the side of the road.
No, I don't.
So instead of incorporating that and making things a little bit stricter, we're going to go remove parallel parking, which people already can't do. So, I mean, at least making them do it twice in their lifetime for a test would give them better than what they have.
Yeah.
A 3-point turn, which people still can't do properly. No. And I can't remember what the other one is. You might as well just eliminate blind spot checking.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I get that they look at it as a need because of all the backlog, but Jesus Christ, guys.
I think we're seeing more and more cars that can parallel park themselves, which is just, I don't know. I like to do things myself. Like, I don't even use my automatic headlights in my truck. I like to turn them on manually. I've turned off my automatic wipers. I've turned off my automatic high beams. I like to be one with my vehicle and actually feel like I'm doing something, not just along for the ride. I know I'm the minority in that statement, but anyways, we're seeing vehicles that are self-driving, self-parallel parking. We've got trucks that can back up trailers for you, which is just mind-boggling as well. I'd like to see the first tow truck that can do that. That that'd be the day.
It'd
Anyways,
be real tough because you need the stickers and the measurements, and there's a lot that goes into that. Believe it or not, it's not just like you hook up to a trailer and you go back myself up. You literally have to put inputs into this thing.
yeah, that is true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's like little barcode stickers you need, and reflectors, and measurements, and tongue length, and it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, Elon Musk will perfect it, and it'll happen. Like these new electric transports, I'm sure they can park themselves. I feel like, if not, what are you spending that kind of money on?
Exactly. But yeah, these driving tests, I actually had a lady, family friend of mine, who had her G2 for the longest time, the absolutely longest time. I think she was 28, and she got her G when she was like, or G2 when she was like 23, and she had
That makes sense
extension.
because there's a 5-year before they
Yeah,
expire.
she got an extension after she got the actual extension you could get before the COVID came out, and then she got the extension on the extension on the
because of
extension.
COVID. Right.
So she came to me to help her learn how to drive for a test again. So 10 and 2, which I think is 10 or 9 and 3 now, but I wasn't quite sure. Doing your left, center, right at intersections, and doing that for railroad crossings and that. But this
I hope
lady,
you didn't teach her how to turn right or left.
this lady cannot park worth shit. Just as blunt as it is. I set up pylons. I've got a nice open lot. I got her to do it in my truck that had nice big mirrors. I got her to do it in her own car that she would be doing the test in. And she ran over my cones 8 out of 10 times. She would try to back into a spot.
I didn't know you were giving my wife driving lessons.
I still
God,
remember that day
shit,
your
me.
wife got into an accident.
It's a bad day. My insurance is still killing me.
I don't want to tell the people, the fine listeners,
Oh, I'll
what she
tell the
ran
people.
into.
My wife rear-ended a cop who, in his defense, had just flipped his lights on to pull a U-turn. So, yes, I'm glad to hear you were giving my wife driving lessons. Her parking has gotten no better. Her forward driving is bad. I hope she can't hear me because we just moved into this place and there's a lot of blunt objects within reaching range of where I'm recording right now.
Yeah, but you guys have seen the news. The drivers out there aren't any better. I think myself, growing up outside of a town, when I got my license, I was a little bit more, I need this. And if I lose it, I'm shit out of luck. I'm SOL
fair.
and JWF, right? Because if I lose this, it's an hour and a half walk into town to grab a coffee, which just isn't happening.
And Gavin isn't built for hour walks.
No, this body does not do walks into town for coffee.
No.
So my ass needs to drive. So I think that was a little bit different. Like I know a lot of my high school buddies, they would have a couple drinks and they would drive, even with their G2. They weren't supposed to have any blood in their alcohol system. And I never did. And I was very firm on that because it's not worth the risk of losing my livelihood over one stupid mistake, right? And if I know that I can avoid that stupid mistake, then I should be doing all right. Did I speed when I was younger? Sure, we all did. We were all young and dumb at one point.
Back before 7 days were a thing. Yep.
Yeah, back before that. 14 days now for street racing. Remember that? Yeah.
Oof. It would not be a good time to be a teenager now because, again, the stuff that we did, and the guys will tell you, as professional as we are, we're in the work trucks. Growing up, I can talk about stuff we did 10 years ago. Yeah. The speeding, the everything that's considered careless now or reckless driving. And it was just kids being kids.
Yeah.
And, don't get me wrong, it led to deaths. And I knew a lot of friends that had some bad accidents because of stupidity. But, I mean, I'm the first one to tell you I've hit governor once or twice. Back in the day, and like now 14 days and 30 days, I think you lose your license. Like, man, we need it because again, the kids are getting, less smart.
Yeah.
The cars are getting smarter. The drivers are not.
No,
but,
we're idiot proofing the world, but it's not working.
Yeah, I know, because we're raising idiots.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that works. Let's put all these fail safes in.
Speaking
Let's put
of
hot
raising,
on a cup of coffee.
Speaking of raising idiots, if we touch on this topic, we've covered everything we wanted to for the first time in like a month. The personalities of tow truck operators.
Yep.
We have tons of very unique personalities in this industry. Some of them are kind of stupid. I'm not going to lie. Some of us are kind of stupid. I've seen videos, I've talked to some guys, and it's just, you can do the job, but not well.
I like that you said us as in you're included in that. I really
Wow.
appreciate you taking responsibility for your stupidness. I think it is a big step, G. I am very proud of you.
Thank you.
But I also want to argue. There's two types of personalities. There's an A and a B.
Oh, there's more than
That's it.
two. More than two.
Fine. You might have A, B, B, A, B. It's an A and a B. Right? The problem is you can't have. I want to talk about the B types. And I know one personally. I have never met somebody as hard and I've met a lot of people as hardworking. I've met some amazing hard workers. I will give a shout out just because you know him as well. Dave, hardest worker we've ever met in our lives. But what I've seen from these guys is I know this guy, B-type personality, quiet man, humble man, doesn't go around bragging. He's not that A-type personality like you and I may be.
Yeah.
But this guy works and doesn't complain. And in the industry where towing, a lot of companies have high complaining, high drama, high all that stuff. It's just kind of something that comes with the industry. I think it's because you need to be a certain type of personality in the industry. So you do attract some divas, some guys like that. But these guys are quiet. They put their head down. They come in. They work. They work the extra couple hours overtime. They don't say stuff, nothing. They get the crap calls. They don't say nothing. And those guys are most often the guys that are overlooked. And the reason is because the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? If you come in going, this is bull and I need this and da-da-da, and why am I doing this call and he's not? You and I both know that for management and for dispatchers, a lot of the times that'll wear on people. And with a shortage and hard time finding new guys, they'll put up with it.
But you know what I've noticed? Those
What's that?
B-type personalities, those hard workers that just shut up and get the job done, if they have ever asked for time off, I have gone out of my way to change plans to accommodate them for their time off, because I know if I need time off, that's the guy who will say, sure thing, I will do that for you.
And if you're not catching on to that as if a management can't catch on to that to it, I mean, what good are you for? But those guys will just sit there quietly and do the job. But they're normally the first ones to get stepped over for positions, for opportunities that, hey, we got this cool job. No, let's send the guy who's got the, the Yahoo about him, who's not a bad operator, probably a great operator. But those quiet guys that put their heads down, they get overlooked for so much.
And they probably have more hands-on experience, because when they go out onto a call, they're not asking for backup. They're thinking outside of the bun, figuring out, how can I get this job done? Because I don't want to bother the next guy with my problems. I have 100%. I have this one coworker. He works for a township full time, so he's on call every other weekend, full time. He comes to work with us at nights, every other night, and every other weekend. So he's got a full-time job working with the town. Then he comes towing on every other night and weekends. And he owns his own plow business.
I mean, it's working for the town. How hard is it to hold the shovel on the job site?
Yes, but I'm saying this guy gets up.
He still does it for 8 hours a day.
He gets up at 5:30 in the morning. He goes to work. He's done at 3, I think. He comes back. He's in to work again at 5:30 at night, towing. And he could be out almost all night. He normally parks the truck around 3-4 o'clock in the morning, just so then he can turn around and get back to the town that he works during the day. And now he runs his own plow company. This guy,
man's a burnout walking.
He is
There's
a
no
workaholic.
way you can keep that pace up. You just can't do it.
No, I've told him this. I was like, honestly, man, I think you've bitten off a little bit more than you can chew. I will support you with your own private company, and I want you to be successful, but it's just, I don't want to see you overdo yourself and potentially fall asleep behind the wheel. Right? Because
100%. But when it comes to those personalities, it's important to respect both. You don't want 6 of us running around in the company. It's a terrible idea.
no, we butt heads.
But at the same time, you and you guys all listening are probably thinking about it. I know that guy that keeps his head down, gets his calls. Yes, you know what I mean? A lot of times about them, they're, no one's perfect. Even your A-type personality sometimes are either going to be a little slow at getting calls done or they're whatever. But you just got that consistent guy. Go out, thank that guy, because he's covered more shifts for you than you've probably covered for him. Because, again, they don't complain, they don't say anything. Go out, thank that guy, buy him an extra coffee this week, do him something good, because those guys are truly the ones, as much as we need those cowboys that are willing to pull the trigger and try some stuff, we need those guys that are out there day in, day out, getting it done, not complaining, not trying to be flashy, not trying to be anything but a hard worker.
Yeah. And sometimes it even shows in their trucks too, unfortunately, right? Because those guys who don't complain, they'll be like, my equipment still gets the job done. Is it as new and flashy as some of the newer equipment? No, it's not. But it still works and it still goes down the road. I don't need the new flashy, good-looking, chromed out trucks, right?
Yep.
As much as they might like one deep down, they just don't get it, unfortunately.
Yep. Oh, a lot of times it's because the whiny guys like myself will end up getting the new ones. Come on now. That's how it works. That's how it works.
Well, it really depends. Like, the companies of all different sizes all have different things. A lot of times you'll get a hand-me-down truck or whatnot, but I don't think we can say that always the flamboyant cowboy will go out and get the new truck.
Depends where you're at. Well, that being said, G, there is a lot of boxes that are left to be unpacked on my end. I know you've got to get some rest. You've had a heck of a week. Why don't you tell the ladies and gentlemen at home where they can find us and take us out on this fine, fine episode?
Yes. Thank you guys for watching. If you've got any questions, comments, or concerns from anything you've heard for this past episode, you can reach us at thetowinglife@gmail.com or searching the Towing Life Podcast on Facebook. You can visit our website at www.towinglife.ca. You can even call us at 249-666-2209. And if you're watching on the YouTube side of things, we don't mention this enough, you can leave a comment down below in the comment section. It's just down there. There's a little red box right there. And while you're down there, you might as well click that like button or dislike button if you didn't like the episode. But if you don't, then why are you still here? I don't know. Kudos to you. With that said, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Toodles.
Take care. Tomorrow's Monday. Mm-hmm. Holy crap, it's Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What's that song? Friday, yeah. Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
I don't think that's the song.
No, the Rebecca Black song from like 2012.
Who?
I don't know, she was like a high school student at the time. Rebecca Black. She did a music video of her in the back of a convertible singing, "It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday."
No idea. We should probably stick to towing.
Yeah, at least we're somewhat half decent at that.
Wow.
We're not towing gods over here, you know.
Have you seen that guy on social media?
Which guy?
I'll give him a shout out. I don't care. Tow God. I can't remember his name. Kept seeing it come up on all kinds of groups. This guy talks about how he can stay so clean towing.
Oh.
And it's like, clearly you haven't worked in the north. I want to see you in -30 with all this salt stay that clean.
I brush up against my truck and my black sweater turns white pretty quick.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's been too cold to properly wash the truck, or else my dollies get frozen to the truck and my wheel grids will not slide out.
Dolly bars get frozen. Dollies get frozen.
Yeah,
Everything frozen.
everything frozen. Are we just not doing an intro today, bud?
Have you not realized that you just got like 8 clips to grab from for the pre-show? So eat it.
Yeah. I was gonna
That's what
say
I
we
was
might as well
working on.
just keep her rolling, bud.
Use them for next episodes. I don't care.
Yeah,
My audio listeners don't know the difference.
this is true. Well, if they're a keen ear, they would hear the difference in your microphone.